Let's jump into optics, which is the next panel. So chromatic aberration is the first option that we have. Remove chromatic aberration. Now, what is chromatic aberration? Well, this is a good example. You can see here, there's a little blue fringe and a red fringe. Now, I'll be honest with you, chromatic aberration used to be a huge problem when I was shooting Canon 10 years ago. Since I've switched to Sony, it's less, I feel, even with Canon, like as we grow older, the lens gets better and have less chromatic aberration. So let's see here. If we click on remove chromatic aberration and we pray, boom, look at this. It took everything out. That really worked really well. Before, you see, red and green. After, boom. Okay, now enable lens correction. What that's going to do is basically try to figure out what lens this was taken on. Check it out, before, after. It even says Adobe Canon 1740 f4 LUSM, which is the lens I used it. So basically, you have a little bit of a burl effect that goes away. There's a vignette that goes away, and which is cool. So, and this here is basically you can go manual. You can, if you click on this three little dots, you can go further and distort even further if you think the automatic option. I never do it. Same with the lens vignetting, you can add it back. I kind of like to add it back a little bit. I like a little bit of a vignette because remember, the eyes goes to the brightest part of the photo and I don't want the eyes to go, I want the eyes to go in the middle. So taking out all the lens vignetting is kind of a bummer. Now, here is the defringe option. And that is something, oops, sorry, when you move the wheel. So let's say it didn't work. We could use this option basically by targeting exactly what kind of fringe do we have. But in this case, it really worked really well. I mean, check it out. It just took out everything. So this is, let's say that instead of having like a red and blue, like I had here, it's kind of greenish and blue. You could, let's say it was like very purple. I could go and basically, really narrow this. And if you move the amount, it's going to erase whatever color you have there. So first you locate the color that you have as a chromatic aberration, and then you desaturate it. But in our case, the remove chromatic aberration, the default option, worked perfectly well. And honestly, it does 90% of the time. So that's optic. And geometry, in this case, it's not a good photo to use that. Basically what it does, it makes everything kind of straight. I like to use the auto function. It makes the horizon was kind of off a little bit. Look at that. If you go off, the horizon is not quite straight, and by putting it on auto, which is what I use 90% of the time, it made the horizon straight. So that's for now. And this is just a really basic, quick overview of the settings. We're going to do many projects together so you can see with different photos what these sliders do.